review. First, initials, 声母. These are initials we have learned in these 3 previous lessons. And please read after me. 波, 坡, 摸, 佛, 的, 特, 呢, 了, 个, 科, 呵, 鸡, 七, 西, 滋, 呲, 思, 知, 吃, 诗, 日. Okay, so these are all the initials we have in Mandarin Chinese. So please don't forget to review by yourself. Please try to read these initials as often as possible. You can listen to the recording of the textbook and try to intimate, or you can say mimic, all these initials. So please make practice by yourself. And then let's move to the finals, 韵母. And these are the finals we have learned in the previous 3 lessons. Okay, so the first line, you can see the first line are the most basic finals in Mandarin Chinese. So first, please read these lines. Read after me, please. 啊, 我, 一, 乌, ü. And then we have these finals. And this one can be seen as mini spelling. So these are like mini syllables, like ah and e, and they spell together. So please read as a whole. Please read as one final, okay? Please read after me for the second line. I, a, ao, o. Okay, so as I repeat in the previous lessons, so we don't have any double vowels in Mandarin Chinese. So please don't read as a double vowel, okay? Always to read as one single final, okay? And then for the third line, we have some like nasal finals. Please read after me. An, ang, en, eng, in, on. And next one is a rather special final. Okay, so when you pronounce the final and ending with a curl of your tongue, okay, and we will read under the second tone, third tone, and the fourth tone. And don't forget, when you read under the fourth tone, open your mouth a little bit wider than the other 2 tones. So the pronunciation, is a little bit difference between the fourth tone and the other tones. Okay, so please read after me. 儿, R. And then we have like 3 other groups of finals, which respectively begin with U, E, and Ü. Okay, so these one are also like mini spellings. So always to read these finals as one single final, please. Okay, so first let's review the finals begin with U. Okay, Wa, Wo, Wai, Wei, Wan, Wang, Wen, Weng. And then the finals begin with I, Ya, Ye, Yao, You, Yan, Yang, Yong. And finally, the finals begin with Yu, Yue, Yuan, Yun. Okay, so these are all the finals we have in Mandarin Chinese. And also, please don't forget to make a review by yourself. Listen to the recording many times and then try to intimate. Okay, by yourself, make practice as often as possible, please. And then let's move to the third part of a Pinyin syllable, tones, 声调. And don't forget, tones are an independent part of a pinyin syllable. And tones are very important in Mandarin Chinese because tones have distinguishing value, right? What I mean that different tones can have different meanings. So tones are very, very important. And there are 4 tones in Mandarin Chinese, which are the first tone, second tone, third tone, and fourth tone. In Chinese, we say 一声, 二声, 三声, and 四声. And we will take this pinyin syllable as a example. Okay, so initial, more, final is a, and we will read respectively under the first tone, second tone, third tone, and fourth tone. Okay, please read after me. Ma, 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 ma. Okay, read again, please. Ma, 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 ma. And don't forget the key word for each tone. Okay, so for the first tone, so it's rather high. We can say the first tone is the highest tone of all the 4 tones. Okay, so first tone is high and flat. Okay, and for the second tone, it is an upcoming tone. So the beginning point of the second tone is lower than the first tone, right? So this one is the first tone, and the second tone is lower. The beginning point is lower than the first tone, and then suddenly make it upcoming. Okay, so ma, and for the third tone, okay, for the third tone, we say this is the lowest one. This is the lowest one, and you can see there are kind of 2 parts for a third tone, and the most important one is the first half. So this is like a downcoming part, okay? So ma, right? So the first part is the most important part. So first make it a downcoming and then a little bit upcoming, ma. And the fourth tone is a downcoming tone. So as you can see, the beginning point for the fourth tone is rather high. So it's as high as the first tone and suddenly make it down. Okay, so ma. Okay, so these are the 4 tones. And then we learned a very important knowledge concerning with tones, which is 轻声. In Chinese, we say 轻声, the neutral tone. Okay, the neutral tone. So the neutral tone is not a fifth kind of tone, right? So a neutral tone is just a variant of the 4 tones in the flow of speech. And the neutral tone should be pronounced lightly and briefly without any stress. And in writing pinyin, when you write pinyin, so a neutral tone is indicated by no tone mark. Okay, so as you can see, in these examples, the second syllable is a neutral tone, and there's a no like tone mark, and we can see this syllable is a neutral tone syllable. Okay, now let's read these examples. 妈妈，白的，好了，爸爸。And in all these 4 like examples, you can feel there is a kind of tiny difference among these 4 examples because a neutral tone would be influenced by the syllable preceded it. Okay, so like the first one, this neutral tone is after a first tone syllable, so it is read as mama. And the second one, this neutral tone syllable is after a second tone syllable, so it's read as 白的. And this one after a third tone syllable, 好了. And this one is 爸爸 after a fourth tone syllable. Okay, so these 4 examples like tells us a neutral tone syllable could be a little bit different when it is after different tones syllable. Okay, and then we learned some like special spelling rules when we write pinyin, right? So this one is just a common one. When there's initial, and then there's a final, like the initial is n and the final is e, and this spell together makes ni, right? This is a pinyin syllable. And there are some like special writing rules when there is no initial in a pinyin syllable. right? So we begin learning with the non-initial syllable with yi, u, and yu, right? So when there's no initial plus a final e in writing, so we add a letter y, and this y is just a writing symbol. The y doesn't represent for any initial. So this pinyin syllable just e, and similarly this one is just the u, right? This w is just a writing symbol. And then similarly this one is yu. And don't forget, there's a special point in this pinyin syllable is when we write a yu syllable without an initial, and we change this like a yu into u. So in this pinyin syllable, this letter looks like u, but actually this is yu. So don't forget this. This is very important. And then we learned like special writing rules when there are non-initials. When there are non-initials, like in these pinyin syllables, like ending with the finals like wa, wo, wai, wei, ya, ye, yao, yu, and yue, yuan, yun. Okay. So in these pinyin syllables, when we write, we change this final u into w in writing. Okay. So it change this letter u into w. But in these cases, this W is not just a writing symbol, okay? So this W actually represents for the final U. So when you see these pinyin syllables, you know this one is wa, wo, wai, wei, etc. So this W is not just a writing symbol, and this one is represent for the letter U, which is the final U. And similarly, this letter Y represent for the final E, okay? So in these cases, this letter Y is not just a writing symbol. So it is like a final E. So when you see these pinyin syllables, you know these ones are ya, ye, yao, yu, yan, yang, yun. Okay, and in the last group for yue, yuan, yun. Okay, so this one is similar to this one, to this non-initial plus yu, and this letter Y is a writing symbol. Okay, and then we change this like a yu into u, so we remove the two dots of the yu, and in writing we write down a u. So how to read this one? This one is yue, yuan, and yun. Okay, so these are all the like spelling rules in Mandarin Chinese when we write pinyin syllables. So these are all the like special writing rules we need to pay attention to. Okay, so also please review these ones. And then let's move to dialogue. Okay, so in these previous 3 lessons, we learned some kind of function items. So like how to make greetings, and how to ask somebody else's nationality. Also how to ask somebody else's surname and full name. Okay, so these are some like function items. So please don't forget under each function item, like what to say and how to say. Okay, so for example, for the first one, greetings. So how to make greetings in Chinese, like we learned these like sayings. Okay, so the most basic one is 你好. Okay, so this one is the most basic one, 你好. And then we learned a rather polite form of 你好. We learned 您好. So this 您 is a polite form, or we say a polite address for 你. Okay, so we also learned 您好. And also we learned if you meet somebody in the early mornings, like particularly in the time period from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., it's a rather early morning, right? So you can make greetings by 早上好, which means good morning. Okay, and then in last lesson 3, we learned another saying. When you get to know somebody for the first time, you can say 认识你很高兴. 认识你很高兴。So 认识 means to know, get to know somebody, to recognize. Okay, and 你 is you. 很 means very much. 高兴 means glad. So literally, this sentence means to know you very glad, which means nice to meet you. And this one is also very useful, like greeting items. Like when you meet somebody for the first time, you can use this item. Okay.